Risk management is one of the trickiest parts of project management. It isn't the numbers, it's the politics. Project sponsors are unanimously in agreement that they don't want to take any risks on their very important projects. But when you ask them to invest a little bit of time and maybe a little bit of the project budget to avoid risks, what the project manager hears is, this project is too important to waste a lot of time with meetings and risk paperwork. Let's get started. Even in the face of this reluctance to invest in risk management, project manager can still get benefits from the process, even in as little as 10 minutes. I think the best practice is to always do some risk management on every project, but to keep the amount of time, and certainly the money, at a level that is completely acceptable to the sponsor and the stakeholders. On the low end, we could invest a lunch hour in risk management, working with a couple of experienced team members or stakeholders, maybe even the sponsor. During the 1 hour, we would talk about what risks are likely to affect the project, get a rough assessment about the damage they could do, and then decide what we can do if they come up, how we will respond to those risks. We might also spend a few minutes talking about positive or good risks that might be beneficial. If we're limiting our risk management to a lunch hour, we'll skip quantitative analysis entirely. But we never skip risk responses, because a few minutes talking about how we'll respond to a bad risk that occurs can make the damage much, much smaller. Likewise, we'll spend a couple of minutes discussing how we can make the good risks more likely and more beneficial. If we don't think about those good risks now, we'll ignore them once we get into executing the project and maybe miss a real opportunity. So we leave the lunch with some risk responses thought through and a couple of contingency plans for bad risks we can't do anything about. We've talked about how we're going to watch for these risks, monitor for them, and then we just hope the sponsor picks up the lunch tab. Let's talk about the consequences of not doing any risk management. Too many project managers don't do any risk management, but they never miss the opportunity to tell you what a great firefighter they are. There are even some project sponsors who will talk about how they want project managers who are great firefighters to run their projects. This entirely misses the point of risk management. Good project managers don't have to be great firefighters. They don't have to do it very often, because they avoid problems before they occur. In fact, that's the art of project management in general, anticipating problems so you don't have to go into a frenzy when they occur. The great firefighting project managers have this kind of a project experience. Their teams are smacked in the face regularly by risks that they never anticipated or even thought about. Most of all, the project team has to drop everything when the risk occurs, and they spend hours trying to figure out what to do and then frantically try and contain the damage. That's on bad risks. They never even think about upside risks, the good ones. I've successfully used this firefighting logic to persuade project sponsors to invest just a little bit of the budget in risk avoidance. Most executives have experienced projects where the team is routinely surprised by bad stuff, and so are they. And they also think they could have easily avoided some of these problems. So when you talk about the benefits of anticipating problems so they don't cause damage to the budget or the duration, that can be a very useful argument when talking with sponsors about the need to do just a little risk management. In the risk management approach, we identify positive and negative risks before we start work on the project. In fact, we start this during the initiation of the project, so Our risk responses can be included in the project plan. After we identify our positive and negative risks, we develop response plans to make the good risks more likely and the bad risks less likely. We also formulate contingency plans of exactly how we will respond if a risk appears on the horizon. As part of our risk discussion, we're going to identify risk triggers. The classic example of one of those is we're concerned about tornado damage. A risk trigger is when we see a funnel on the